I think that Will Smith was right for feeling how he did. Now, you might not agree with that, but y'all saw Will Smith, the famous actor, who y'all felt as though needed to act professionally. But he is not Will Smith, the actor, first. He is Will Smith, the human being. And humans are always going to human. And this is what Will and Jada really aren't saying. Welcome to my channel. I am Fronten'a, and today I'm going to be reading you my audio blog titled, "It Was Way More Than Just a Joke." For the written version of this blog, you can visit me on my website. The link will be listed below. Now, I wasn't gonna say nothing, but since y'all brought it up, go ahead and make sure you subscribe. Go on now. I'll wait. Do 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 do. Woo, child! I thought I was gonna have to tell y'all twice. Ooh, and really quick, do y'all remember that one time when I was telling y'all about that one time? Y'all remember that? Well, anyway, to make a long story short, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, okay? Now, let's get into this audio blog. Two things can be true at the same time. Will Smith can be wrong for what he did, and he can also be justified in feeling the way he did. See, what bothers me is people are always way too quick to try to remove the human element. As a person who is more sensitive to understanding that humans are always gonna human first. And humans are what? By nature, we are flawed emotional beings. Everyone is saying that because of his status in Hollywood, he should have just walked away. But see, where a lot of people saw Will Smith being unprofessional and inappropriate in a professional setting, I saw a husband who has watched his wife be broken by her illness and the symptoms her illness has caused. A husband who has seen his wife suffer through whatever she suffers on a day-to-day basis as a result of her illness. He probably did everything he could to try to convince her to come out and put her best face on, to only have her then be humiliated in front of 5.2 million people or more. Can we at least acknowledge that that must have been really tough for him? Men are supposed to be our protectors. And as a woman, I see how and why this turned into what it did. Will Smith, the professional, now Oscar-winning actor, probably was thinking to himself, man, this is a bad idea. While Will Smith, the husband and best friend to his wife, was probably thinking, I have watched the woman I love break down countless times. I have watched her be afraid and unsure of what or who she is now. To have her identity shift almost overnight and me be there to pick up those pieces. To have worked so hard to remind her of who she is. To remind her of what she has accomplished. And to remind her that she is truly beautiful, hair or no hair. See, what a lot of people don't understand unless you are a black woman is a black woman's hair is her glory. It is her crown. And for her to go through that, and her husband have to go through that with her, through all the ups and the downs, to have finally gotten to a place where she was reassured enough to start learning to be comfortable in her skin, for that to be destroyed in 4 sentences or less in front of the world. If anyone thinks they would not be affected in a negative way, they are lying to themselves. I read a ton of comments saying, it's not like she lost her hair to cancer, as if her losing her hair to a different illness makes the loss less impactful. See, the thing is too, we as a society are so freaking quick to try to minimize someone else's experiences and then gatekeep their resulting emotions. No one gets to tell someone how to feel about something that has happened to them. No one gets to tell someone how to react to something that is happening to them. This is Will and Jada's story, and they get to feel about it however they feel about it. Now, I'm not saying getting slapped up was the best response, but what I am saying is that up to this point, this situation has never happened before. Therefore, there is no blueprint on how one should have handled it in a better way. Now, this is not an excuse for his behavior. But again, we are human first, and humans are going to make mistakes. I have a few pet peeves in this world, and I'm sure a lot of people do. But one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, well, if it was me, I would have fill in the blank. If you have read any of my previous articles, you would know that this is one of those pet peeves that sit at the top of my list. Because for me, it's like, how on earth can you know with all certainty what you would do in any situation when you've never been in it before? See, I know we all like to believe that we can handle anything and that nothing can make us come up out of character. But we simply have no idea what we would do because we've never been in that situation before. Before each and every one of us is anything else, we are human first. And this was a human being having a human moment. Now, I will say, had he had more time to sit in that, maybe he would have done things differently. But he didn't, so here we are. We are focusing on what he did versus what we can do better moving forward. This is why I say we have to take better care of our mental health with my whole entire chest. It is imperative that we are placing importance on constantly checking in on our mental health. Now, I'm not saying that he's not, but we have to unpack things that we are carrying inside of us so we can get ahead and stay ahead of our traumas. By doing this, it places us in a better position so we don't end up with our traumas getting ahead of us. And another thing, just because someone is a comedian, it does not give them the right to poke fun at or make jokes about someone's health. Had he sat up there and said, hey, Mrs. Someone Else, I love you, but I'm glad that you just had that 7th miscarriage, just before the summer rolled in. Now you can have that hot girl summer with Megan, while the cameras are panning over to Megan Thee Stallion so we can really bring the joke home. Or, hey, Mrs. Such and Such, I love you, and I'm glad that you beat that cancer. And since you're already bald, I can't wait to see you in the next G.I. Jane. Now, would that be acceptable? We do not get to pick and choose which illnesses are off limits. You can make your little jokes or whatever, but people's health should not be a part of that. I went to a comedy show one time with my husband. And true to form, child, we came in late. So the only seats that were left were the ones that were very close to the stage. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I don't want to sit this close to the stage. Because I already know that comedians tend to come for whoever is the closest to the stage. And not to mention, we were late, which basically put a target on our backs. This comedian does as I suspected he would and starts making jokes with my husband at the center of it all. This dude made some really lewd jokes about my breasts and joking about how my husband must have a good old time with them and stuff of that inappropriate nature. So of course everybody turns around to see these breasts that he's talking about. It was so freaking embarrassing. We had this entire club looking at us as he was making his little jokes. Now, as embarrassing as that was for me, that is something that comes with that territory. But had he made a joke about the recent miscarriage I had had, that would not have been okay. Do we see the difference here? And also, I keep hearing everybody say, would he have done the same thing if the comedian had been a white man? And honestly, I don't know the answer to that. But then my return question is, would he have made the same joke if the person on the receiving end was a white woman? Had she been the wife of whatever A-list celebrity, I don't know, Jim Carrey, would we still feel it's not that big of a deal what he did? Is it not that big of a deal because it was just a joke? Or is it not that big of a deal because it was made about a black woman? See, I agree that social media has contributed to everyone being so super freaking sensitive about everything. We are so quick to want to cancel somebody just because they believe something different than we do. But see, this is not that. This is not only her physical health that is on the line, but now also her mental health. Now, I'm not justifying what Will Smith did. I'm going to say that all day long. He was for sure wrong for that. But we can't sit here and justify what Chris Rock did either. They were both wrong. I know everybody be wanting to be so high and mighty, like, oh, violence, da 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 da, when this world is filled with nothing but violence. But I'm not going to touch on that. And yes, slapping someone is violent. I mean, there's just no other way around that. But words are violent too. Just like putting your hands on someone can harm them and in some situations even cause death, so can words. Words have caused so many deaths by suicide. Yeah, people need to keep their hands to themselves. I'm not disagreeing with that. But people need to also keep their harmful words to themselves. Now, there has been so much talk about whether or not Chris Rock was aware of Jada Pinkett having alopecia. There's two things wrong with that. Number one, these people were very familiar with one another. And number two, Chris Rock did a documentary all about black hair, black women's hair in particularly, and what our hair means to us on way larger a scale than just hair on someone's head. And in this documentary, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna show you all the clip.
I have alopecia, which causes hair loss on your head or on your body. I chose not to wear a wig for a number of reasons. There's this feeling about somehow hiding, and I never wanted to feel like I was hiding something. I wanted to deal with sort of accepting who you are and looking in the mirror and feeling as though you're beautiful and legitimate. So I think the reason hair is so important is because our self-esteem is wrapped up in it. It's like a type of currency for us, even though those standards are completely unrealistic and unattainable, especially for black women.
You're going to be graduating soon.
And unattainable, especially for black women.
You're going to be graduating soon. Going out.
So, what we're not going to do is sit here and pretend like it was just a joke, that he didn't know any better, that maybe he didn't know about her alopecia. But here's the thing. He did a whole documentary, flew to another part of the world to interview people specifically about black hair and what it meant to black women. He had a whole interview with a woman who suffered with alopecia and what that meant to her. So now we're supposed to believe that this man didn't know what that meant to Jada? Child, bye. Just go. Y'all not gonna do that to me. You ain't gonna play me. Problem is way bigger than just that joke. The problem is way bigger than Will's response to that joke. There's so much underlying things that nobody is saying, and that's the stuff that makes me so irritated. That's the reason why we are constantly being dwelled into further and further confusion, because nobody wants to have the conversations. We got to do better as a society, and this is specifically to Black people, because there's been a lot of talk of like, oh, you know, we acted a fool in front of them white people. Child, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Until we start having those tough conversations, we are going to run into issue after issue after issue all the time. Talking about things like this is really hard because it causes some hurt feelings sometimes, and it can be confrontational. But confrontation brings understanding, and understanding brings resolution. And even if the resolution is agree to disagree, that is still a resolution. What do y'all think about this whole thing? Let's chat about it respectfully in the comments below. Please be mindful of how you allow others to handle you, and forgive yourself for how you've handled you. Please consider becoming a part of my village. I think you'll like it here. Until next time.